Hello and welcome to MamaNurture Monday live video. I'm Shannon Crow of MamaNurture, and today I'm going to chat about puppy pose. So this is a pose that a lot of the time we turn to for prenatal yoga, but also in other classes as well. So sometimes we have students who have wrist issues. We talked a little bit about that last week in the video. If you didn't catch that, you can go back and see that video just about decreasing the angle. So puppy pose allows us to take that pressure off of the wrist. And I'm going to show a few different variations of this pose here today. If you have questions, make sure to post them in the comments. I check back later. Even if you're watching the replay, I'll still look back for those comments as well. If you're not already on our newsletter, if you subscribe to the MamaNurture newsletter, you will get all of the videos sent to you. So you'll build up a little library there in your email and you won't miss any. So first of all, you might have a bolster at home or just a pillow. And then I have a couple of blocks today, and you could use books at home if you don't have blocks. So this is a great pose to use instead of downward dog. And a lot of our either pregnant students or new to yoga students don't feel that comfortable in downward dog. I'll make sure to post a link to an article about downward dog in pregnancy and some of the cautions and contraindications. But if you even just think like as a woman progresses along in pregnancy, there's quite a lot of pressure, and if you tip everything forward, if she's experiencing heartburn or just discomfort, downward dog is not usually the pose that they want to go to, but it's still really nice to be able to get into the shoulders. So one way is to modify and do downward dog at the wall, but today we're going to do puppy pose instead. Okay, so if you have a bolster, or I've just used a pillow wrapped up in a blanket, then we can start with that. And you'll start from table, so you might be up onto the wrists, or if people have, or onto the fingertips or fists. If people have wrist issues, then you might be up on blocks. And we're going to place the knees in line with the hips, and so the knees are about hip distance apart. And we can start to walk the blocks out here a little bit. So we start to slide the blocks out, and that is a little variation of puppy pose. If you want to move the blocks even further, bring this bolster a little closer to me, then we can lower the forehead down onto something. Now that is a little less of a stretch for the upper back and the arms. But if we bring the blocks back, we can also turn them. I like this variation if people are dealing with wrist issues, so we can walk the blocks out, bring the forearms down onto the blocks, let the wrists and the hands hang over. They need to walk up a little bit further. You can also, if you get students into this, you can get them to walk the knees back. So then we can sink down there, and we're not putting any pressure on the wrists at all. And then finally, we could lower the blocks down, do it again from that level, or we can move from table, start to walk the hands forward, and sink back just until we feel like, oh yeah, that gets into that. We can also tuck the toes under there and leave the forehead off the floor. Now, one other variation on this, and I feel like it builds up some more strength in the wrists and the hands, is to come up onto fingertips, little spider hands, and sink down there so that the arm bones are really lifting away from the floor. And this is a pose that's quite engaged then. We're using a lot of the muscles to stay in that pose. So those are a few variations of puppy pose today. And again, if you have questions, put your comments in here. And it was fun to see some of you live. And I will see you next Monday. Also, If you are wanting to join me for MamaNurture, the next training is in Meaford, Ontario, and you can go to mamanurture.ca to find out more. Take care, guys. Happy Monday.